in January. I'd like to now say we'll take about a 3 to 5 minute break, and we'll be back with Ann Pluto. One thing I wanted to comment, I'd like to personally dedicate this to 2 poets who have read here in the last 6 months, no longer with us, and it's Albert Fine, who read here about 3 months ago, and Kimon Lucas, who was here about 6 months ago. They've left the world, and it was great that we had them here, and they are on tape, but with us, and several of their friends have expressed interest in those tapes. We do videotape the proceedings thanks to Tom Blue. So anyway, in their memory, I dedicate tonight. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you. This way.
Judy. Yes, Larry.
Here now for over 2 years, the Stone Soup Poets present proudly our first feature, Ann E. Pluto. What's up, Ann?
I was born. No, Mary Beth Martins was not the prom queen of Rawlins, Wyoming. She had never wanted to aspire to such a position, she told Reed Fallon as he sat next to her in the old Absinthe Bar in New Orleans, almost 10 years after she had graduated high school. He laughed and watched Mary Beth with a decidedly sexual interest as she leaned her elbows on a large book that was on the bar. "What's that?" he asked. "Your homework? Did you say you were a student here?" She hadn't said anything and found his attempts to get information from her amusing. "No, I work for the Times-Picayune. This book is a part of my homework for the next month or so," she said, looking at his face. "I'm doing liner notes for a jazz album." When he had first walked into the bar, she thought he was the handsomest man she had ever seen in her life. And now as he sat close to her, she was trying to decide what it was about him that she was attracted to. Well, he was tall, taller than her 2 brothers, and they were tall, even taller than her Cheyenne cousins by marriage. He was dark, and his straight black hair was tied behind him in a ponytail, and he was handsome, too handsome for his own good. He had acquired all the best of the 2 races that had mixed in order for Reed Fallon to be born. When he smiled, she felt like a child that was being lied to, yet she was attracted to him and listened to his stories about working on an oil rig in Morgan City and how he was now coming to live in New Orleans with some friends in Metairie. He sat facing her after they had talked for half an hour and had his long legs wrapped around the rungs of her chair. Once in a while, one of them would touch hers, and she could feel the chill go through her stockings and end someplace along her spine. Reed Fallon was trouble, but he reminded her of the West, of her Cheyenne stepmother and her handsome cousins, and when Reed Fallon told Mary Beth Martins that he had grown up in Rock Springs, there existed between them an understanding of time and space, or so she thought. He took her phone number, promised to call when he got settled in Metairie, and when they stood outside the bar, he shook her hand and wished her luck with her homework. But it didn't stop there. He drew her towards him and kissed her mouth. She stood among her friends, shaking as he walked off into the night. None of this love scene went unnoticed. Mary Beth had arrived at the bar with all her friends from the paper. It was a Friday night ritual for the arts and entertainment staff. Then on Saturdays, they all met at the Café du Monde before going to the office to file stories for Sunday. When she got there the next morning, Michael J. Smith, affectionately known as Smitty, was imitating Fallon's smooth moves for Mitch and Petey. Mary Beth stood in back of him and laughed. "I thought for sure you were taking him home," Smitty said as he got up and let Mary Beth have his seat. She shook her head and ordered coffee and beignets from the waitress. "We watched the whole thing, how he was rolling you a cigarette, buying you a drink you didn't want, and trying to get his hands up your skirt." Smitty said, bringing a chair close to Mary Beth's, he imitated Fallon's smooth method of leg wrapping. "The best was when he touched your thighs. I thought for sure he had you then." Satisfied with his performance, because he had managed to make Petey and Mitch laugh, he sat back and took a beignet from the plate in front of him and bit into it. Mary Beth smiled. She liked Smitty very much. She liked Mitch and Petey also. Did he take your phone number, Mitch asked. Yeah, but I doubt he'll call, she answered, looking at Smitty's profile as he finished devouring the donut. Oh, he'll call, but give him 2 or 3 weeks. No, better make it 4 weeks. He'll have to look busy or cool or both, Smitty says as he looked at Mary Beth. Is that how you guys gauge time, by busy and cool? She asked the 3 of her co-workers. Of course, you never want the woman to really think you're interested. See, Mary Beth, your problem was that you got married too young. All you probably ever thought about was Tom after you met him, and he was real young and dumb, so all he ever thought about was you. What do you want? He became a cowboy and a rodeo rider. So now that you're divorced, you have to learn things the hard way. Reed Fallon is trouble. Why? She asked. Anyone as good-looking as that has a wife in Rock Springs, a girlfriend in Morgan City, and a babe in Metairie. Smitty said it, and Mitch and Petey nodded in agreement. What about you? You don't have a wife, girlfriend, and a babe, Mary Beth said, knowing this would make him angry and probably end the conversation that was starting to annoy her. No, I don't have a wife, girlfriend, or a babe. I had an assassin who left me for another fool. Even you, Mary Beth, you're one of them. Well, I've been a wife and a girlfriend, but I haven't been an assassin or a babe. Hang out with Fallon and you'll be both, Smitty predicted and got up to leave. I'll see you all at the office. What's bothering him? She asked as he walked away from their table. Oh, trouble with Sandy. She wants to be with him. She doesn't want to be with him, and he won't end it, Petey said. What's he waiting for? Mary Beth asked out loud. Maybe an invitation, Mitch answered. To what? She said to herself. During the next week, Mary Beth hardly had any time to think about anything except the assignment, which had become, to her regret, of course, the office joke. Mitch had come over with a stack of jazz fusion records, and night after night, Mary Beth sat on the floor of her living room eating double cream Oreos, drinking black coffee, and listening to those records. She forced herself to write about how the music made her feel, and by the end of the week, she had completely forgotten about Mardi Gras. Even though she lived in the French Quarter, it was Smitty who brought it to her attention. Has Fallon called you yet? He asked one morning at work. They were the only ones in the office. Petey was fighting with the advertising department, and Mitch was out taking photographs. No, I haven't even thought about him, she said, looking up from the copy she was editing. Well, what are you going to do when he does? And he will. It's been 2 weeks. He'll call you in another 2. Just wait and see. And the minute you hang up that phone, you call me. I want details. She made a face and went back to the papers that were cluttering her desk. Mary Beth, what? I'm trying to finish this. I have a deadline to meet. Fuck the deadline. When was the last time you went out on a date? He was standing right in front of her desk now. She put the pencil down. I don't remember. What are you getting at? Why are you bothering me this morning? Let me finish this and we can go out to lunch. Will that be date enough for you? No, I just want to make sure you know how to act when Fallon calls. I got an idea. I'll call you and pretend I'm Fallon. He ran over to the desk he shared with Mitch on the other side of the room. Right now, Smitty, it's 11. I have to finish this by high noon. It's going in tonight's paper. Mary Beth, put that fucking pencil down and tell me your extension. 309. He dialed. The phone rang 3 times before she picked it up. What are you waiting for? He whispered before she answered. Well, we don't want Reed Fallon to think I was waiting for his phone call. Hello? She started to laugh. Wait, she said, covering the receiver. I can't look at you. She took a folder from her desk and put it in front of her face. Okay, try again. This time she picked up on the 4th ring. Hello? Hi, is this Mary Beth Martins with a Z at the end? Smitty, she said, putting down the folder. You know how to spell my last name. Yeah, I do, but you were spelling it for Fallon that night. I heard more than you know, and I'm Reed Fallon now, even though I'm infinitely better looking and have a bigger dick. Smitty, can't you stop thinking about sex for a minute? The folder was down again. No, I can't. If I can't, I'm shit sure Reed Fallon Kinger. All right, I'm Reed Fallon now. So Mary Beth, you know, Mardi Gras is coming up, and how about going out with me? The babe in Metairie has her period, and Smitty, she laughed and dropped the folder. Then they saw Cliff Stein, their boss, standing in the doorway. You're talking to one another on the phone in the same room. He was smoking a cigarette and had another 2 behind each ear. Yes, Mary Beth said into the phone. Both Smitty and Cliff laughed. She hung up. Smitty looked at his receiver and said, well, I'll come by to get you around midnight. He smirked and hung up. Cliff shook his head. You two never stop. I'm standing right here, and you keep talking on the phone. I pay you to do this? You're talking on the phone to each other, but he can't ask you out as himself. He says he's Reed Fallon.